So how would you determine what light damage would be? Light damage would be broken windows, or maybe a couple roof tiles off, or things like that. There's not much damage to the exterior of the building. This goes for earthquakes or tornadoes or floods or anything else. In other words, the structure is sound. There seems like a little bit of damage, exterior damage. And if you look in, you don't see any cracks. There is sound. There seems like a little bit of damage, exterior damage. And if you look in, you don't see any cracks in the walls. You don't see any anything like that. Maybe some furniture has fallen over, but no structural problem. That would be light damage, where you would send everybody in without much worry about their safety. Moderate damage would be visible cracks. Visible cracks to the exterior, visible cracks to the interior, where you can see that the structure has been compromised in some way. That compromising could be broken. Usually in buildings, especially when they shift, they crack at door frames. You can look at the corners of door frames and see if there's cracks in the plaster, interior and exterior. That would be considered moderate damage. Also note that a moderately damaged building will still be sitting on its foundation, not pushed off from a hurricane, tornado, or anything else, but it will still be sitting on its foundation. So what constitutes heavy damage? Heavy damage is any of the cracks that you see, visible large cracks in any of the exterior or interior, anything that looks like that building has been structurally compromised whatsoever. You don't want to go into that building and compromise your safety for the safety of others, because it would be terrible to go into a building, have it fall and hurt you. Or any building that has been moved for whatever reason off of its foundation. That would also be heavy damage. Also, any building that you see fire or smoke coming from, or gas, smell gas leaks, those are also considered as heavily damaged. So once you've determined whether or not the building is safe to enter or not, you need to establish priorities. In other words, what should be done and in what order. The safety of your team should be priority number one. The people who are outside who are not injured, that is safety, that is number one. So that is the number one priority. Then you need to kind of prioritize about what else needs to be done. For example, if you are coming up upon a residential home and it's moderately damaged, and you have 3 or 4 houses that are moderately damaged, and then there's one that is maybe lightly damaged, then you find a couple that are moderately damaged. You would go to those maybe that are lightly damaged, and then work your way down to the moderately damaged, or ones like that. You also need to think about the life of the victims as well, and the protection of property whenever possible. Then you need to develop a plan of action. Okay, well, here's our situation in front of us. We have 3 buildings. Both of them are lightly done. I have 6 people who are volunteered to come help me. We're going to break up into teams of 3. Us 3 are going to go into this building. You're going to stay out here and wait for us, and we're going to bring people to you. So you come up with a plan of action and put that plan of action into action, I should say. Then you go about doing what you need to do, going through and rescuing or searching for the people inside. And then the 9th step in this process, after you've taken action, is to reassess where you're at in the process. One of the things in Size Up, or also in our Stop, Think, and Act, is that you constantly want to reevaluate where you are on that scale. Are you accomplishing what you wanted to do? Are you doing it in a manner that is safe for you and the people that are volunteering with you, your team members? And are you being as effective as you want to be? Or can you be more effective? And so it's kind of an ongoing of developing a plan, putting planning into action, and then evaluating the effectiveness of your plan. So how do you, let's go back to safety real quick. Talk about how we can possibly be safe. First of all, whenever possible, we want to have the right equipment before we ever do this. Now, do you remember from your training what those safety precautions are? They should have beat it into your head.
I need to take that class again.
You should never go in without a helmet, a gloves, goggles, and a buddy. Those almost should be the minimums for search and rescue. After that, a flashlight would be a pretty good thing to have, especially if there's no, after hours when it's dark. Those things are almost prerequisites to going and doing any kind of search and rescue. A helmet, goggles, gloves, but those aren't necessarily necessary. But a helmet, goggles, gloves, and a buddy are the things that you should have to prerequisites for your safety before going in. The other thing we want to do for your safety is consider the probabilities, not the possibilities, but the probabilities. The ever optimistic Murphy, and whatever can go wrong will go wrong. You don't want to sit there and look at a building, and I'm going to go back to the metaphor of an earthquake, just because that's what we deal with here in Southern California, but anyone works. You don't necessarily want to go into, well, let's use a tornado. A building that has been compromised because of a tornado, and you don't want to say, well, okay, well, it's moderately damaged, and I think we can go in as long as the wind doesn't blow too much. Well, you're taking into account that the wind might not blow, or if it stops raining, we'll be okay as long as it stops raining. Well, wait till it stops raining before you necessarily want to go in, because we want to consider what the worst possible outcome could be if that happened. And so whatever can go wrong will go wrong, and so we want to make sure that we're kind of taking those possibilities in to cover our own safety. The step number 4 is assessing your situation. Size up or stop, think, and act is a building process. You're constantly taking in the information and kind of layering it one upon the other and coming up with a plan and making sure that that plan is safe. It says in my notes, it says whether the situation is safe enough to continue and what risks will happen if you continue. For example, if you're in an earthquake or something like that and there are aftershocks, you should get the people out. It was like, well, we're really close to helping this lady. Well, it'd be really terrible if something happened and you got injured, so you need to reevaluate if you feel remotely like there's an aftershock coming. The other thing is, for your safety, is what resources do you have available? There are lots of resources you can pull from. My suggestion to you is you watch this video or take a course similar to this from the Community Emergency Response Team, is that you go in your neighborhood or with your family and you put together like-minded individuals. Sometimes that's the hardest thing to do. And get a little team together and say, okay, well, in an earthquake, what could we do? Who is available? Well, I know that Steve over here, he works night shift, and so if it was the daytime, he would probably be available to help.